Item 12. Motion submitted in accordance with Council Procedure Rule 14 as to recognising care experience as a protective characteristic. Councillor Kendrick.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I recommend this motion to colleagues in the chamber tonight, and the reasons for that are, as much as I'll give a little bit of background, there are often traumatic episodes that lead to a child or a young person coming into care, but coming into care itself can be a traumatic episode. Children, young people, even us, don't tend to like to be singled out as being different, but being looked after is different from the general children and young people population. You know, from their peers, where's your mum and dad? Why can't you come for a sleepover? And who else? Which other children and young people move home and schools quite a few times, and it does happen. However, let's be clear, this isn't the child or young person's fault. Nowadays, women fleeing domestic violence are seen as victims, survivors, who need support and help and are not at fault. I'm afraid to say that very often young people who are looked after by the local authority are not viewed in the same way, are viewed as if it is their fault. When residential care homes for children are being opened, it's not uncommon for local communities to raise issues saying, oh, this will cause a rise in antisocial behaviour. These young people are being placed there because it is assessed as being the best environment for them to meet their needs, not because they're delinquent or bad. And I suppose I'll get you to reflect, as I reflect a bit, about which of our children, our grandchildren, worry about where they're going to live when they reach 18. They might be saying, am I going to get to university? But it's not the same as, where the heck am I going to live? And when our adult children find that life comes along and bites them, they, you know, a loss of job, a leak in the home, a car accident, illness and so on, they still have family to turn to for advice, for help and support, and if we're really unlucky, for our money as well. Care leavers can be quite isolated, lack confidence, suffer anxiety without that ring of family support and connections to the community. They do have a personal advisor to advise and help them, but that is not family. It doesn't have the same strength. Education may have been disrupted because of moves and changes. Education may not have been as strongly embraced as it perhaps might have been, and because of trauma and still that's still being dealt with. And a lack of qualifications can be viewed as failure, that they need the help and support to build the successful lives that they deserve. Our care leavers have much to contribute to the community and in building their adult lives, but they need us to find opportunities, open doors and encourage and support them. So, Mr Mayor, I recommend this motion to the Council tonight.
Is that seconded?
Mr Mayor?
1 second, Councillor Bald.
I was willing to second it.
No.
Thank you, Councillor Bald. Councillor Scott?
Yeah, yes, I rise to second this motion, Mr Mayor. We have to ensure that the young people in care and care leavers are not discriminated against. This is our duty. We have to ensure that their lived experiences are considered and help shape our decisions. This allows us to improve their lives, their housing needs, their health, their education, their employment, and all the inequalities that need to be addressed there. By adopting these protected characteristics, we will put care experienced people on a level footing with others, and in society, it's more than what they do deserve. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Scott. Are there any comments on this motion? Councillor Cooper?
Yeah, happy to support this motion. I think those of us with children will know that they don't disappear when they reach 18. You continue to have a responsibility beyond that time, and so it is with Kirklees. We have an ongoing responsibility up to the age of 25. Actually, that's what Kirklees has, an ongoing responsibility. We probably have, who knows, for those of us who have children. And so there's, I mean, one of the things that we've got to do here is realise our power. And that we are potentially, as Kirklees, a very, very powerful parent. We have apprenticeships that we can offer. We have, we ensure that care leavers, as our children are able to get housing, and we're in a good position to do that in a way that often parents aren't. We've got good connections with our partners to be able to help people along, and I think that transition from children to adults is really important to make sure that we are that we get that right. And I think Kirklees, to a large extent, from my experience in the Children's Scrutiny Panel, is getting that right. But it's one of those things where you can't leave it alone for a moment. It's got something that's got to be completely revived, because it could be all right one year and not the next. And so continuing to have a focus on looked after children, continuing to see are they getting the best service is something that we can't let go. We've just got to continue doing it year after year. It's part of the job.
Thank you, Councillor Cooper. Councillor Lawson.
I'll be brief, but I did want to rise to support this motion. I would have been happily taking part in a joint motion on this one. Yeah, it has been accepted by, I think, over 50 councils now, and the campaign has been going for a little time, and I'm absolutely sure that we must be part of that groundswell. We must be part of that voice. If we want to add our voices to the lobbying that has to take place at government level to make sure that those changes are made, to make the changes that we want to make in this motion, actually give it teeth and make it, enshrine it in law, then I think that we have to do that today. I did discuss this briefly with officers a few months ago, but it obviously took a different path through council, but it would have been nice to have a chat about this. Yeah, so our group will fully support this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lawson. Councillor Richard Smith.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I would also like to speak in support of this motion. I think that the comments that have been made so far have been very good ones, and I don't have much of anything particularly different to say. I do agree that care experienced people face challenges, stigma and disadvantage, and whilst many do show remarkable resilience, there are things that we as a council can do to ensure that these challenges are minimised, and my group supports this as an aspiration. In particular, following on from recent discussions in this meeting regarding the role of the corporate parents, I would re-emphasise the point that it is incumbent upon us all to ensure that we provide the best possible care as an authority for those children and young people who do not have the family support that most of us take for granted. We as councillors do have a moral and a legal duty to do so, and I am sure that I speak for each of us in this chamber when I say that this is part of the role that is both rewarding and also among the most important. In terms of the resolution, I do think there is a little bit of lack of detail regarding the specifics, but probably splitting hairs a little, using words like recognise does not really commit to anything tangible. When it says that the council will treat care experience as if it were a protected characteristic, I would suggest it needs an expansion on what this will mean in terms of providing opportunities to apply for roles, benefits, extra support, etc. But broadly, I think we're all aligned on this. And I think the figure that Councillor Lawson alluded to, I believe there were 57 local authorities that have already adopted care experience as a protected characteristic. I could be wrong about that figure. And I think the Leeds is in the process of doing so as well. So I think it would be a sensible move for Kirklees to join in this groundswell, as it was called. So that's all I'd got to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I was brought up in a stable and loving home, and once me and my siblings were growing up, my dad chose to foster and took in 5 siblings at a very young age, and through that commitment then took on a special guardianship order and has seen that through for the last 15 years, providing support and love for those vulnerable children. My sister has also fostered for the last 10 years. I've seen firsthand some of the challenges that these children go through and the way that they can be dropped and forgotten when they turn 16 or 18. I commend this motion. I know it's been said about previous motions, well, why are we debating this? Why is this coming before council? It's not going to make any difference. It's not going to change any laws. But I think you see, once you get a groundswell of support from the ground up, through our communities, through our councils, and then another council, and then 50 councils and 100 councils, we can create a groundswell which can then be escalated up and hopefully become enshrined in legislation. So thank you for bringing this motion.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. No other comments, right of reply. Councillor Kendrick.
Very much, Mr Mayor. It is gratifying to see such support across the chamber, and Councillor Cooper is absolutely right. We are a powerful parent. It is in our power to make a difference, and we're also, as I said last time, the richest parent in Kirklees. You know, we need to remember that. And part of that voice nationally, as Councillor Lawson says, is important. But in the meantime, and Councillor Richard Smith, you know, was wanting more detail. I like his appetite. He always wants to know what next, what more. And I did say to you last time, we will be providing some training and information to all councillors. What can we as ward councillors do? And it's those things like, what voluntary roles do we know in the ward that might be suitable and open to a young person? What Saturday jobs are there? What work experience might there be locally? What training opportunities are there? Jobs and so on. And fundraising. Fundraising to help support celebrations for care leavers, the Christmas lunch. How many of you have children and grandchildren who spent Christmas Day on their own? Because I can tell you some of our care leavers did, not because we didn't offer a lunch, but they lacked the confidence to go and so on. I spent a long time trying to persuade one young woman to go, but she spent Christmas Day on her own. Those who went, we scrabbled about and found some great sponsorship, but it was a scrabble about to give a good experience with some comfort, if you like, arms around, presents, a good meal, a bit of social life on a day that is really significant. So there will be information coming out. I hope you look out for it. I know we can't always get to trainings when they happen. There are going to be some things that each group, there's an offer going out for somebody to visit each group to do some, but we will follow that on with more training. But can I say thank you for the support in the chamber tonight. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Kendrick. We will now go to the vote by a show of hands. All those in favour? Against? Abstentions? It's carried. Thank you. Now go back to item 8.